guys.
Alright, guys, it's Sunday, and we're here to do the last song from the new album, Human Nature, Endlessness.
All good things must come to an end.
But not for Nightwish Sunday. Nightwish Sunday will continue. Album. But for this album, this is the last track, and to be honest with you, I've been hyping this track. I've been flaving this track from the first one that, not the first one that we did, but when we started this journey with was it Music? Yeah, Music, which is the first song on the album. So when we did that one, from that point on,
you started hyping this one up.
I started hyping this one up. I honestly don't want to say anything else. I really want you to go into it and fully engage with it and fully enjoy it, because I feel that this is one of those songs. If I tell you too much about it, then you have a preconception of how the song is going to sound like, how it's going to feel like, and that may skew your opinion. So I know I've been hyping it, but at the same time, I haven't been saying too much about it.
Yeah, you're just saying that it's your favorite one of the album.
I would say, if it's not my favorite, it's really close to being my favorite. Definitely Shoemaker is one of my favorites as well. That closing floor at the end there is absolutely phenomenal. So Shoemaker is definitely one of my favorites, but this one is up there. This one is definitely up there. When I did the album review, outside of the singles, if I remember correctly, was this one, Shoemaker, and Pen were my three top five. Yeah, Pen is a really good song. All right, you ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready for this greatness? Are you ready for this jelly?
I'm ready.
All right, let's see. Let's see if you're ready. I don't think you're ready. First question I have is, did it live up to the hype?
It did. It did. I was waiting for him.
For Marco?
Yeah, I was waiting.
I mean, he hasn't really had a main role all the way to the end.
This was his time to really shine.
This was his time to really shine. I agree. But there's more to it than just the song. To me, there's more to it than just Marco's voice. I mean, his voice is really important for the way this track sounds and for this track to work the way it does. Without his voice in it, it's not the same song. It's not even close to being the same song. But before I go on a few things that then, the more I listen to this song, that guitar riff towards the end, I was having goosebumps, man. Like,
and that violin at the end.
That whole melody there,
Yeah.
you know, and even before when
So much
he's
sorrow.
singing, like, yeah, it's like a lullaby. It's like a sorrow lullaby, back and forth. The melody is taking you back and rocking you back and forth. I always get this song at the end. I always get goosebumps. It's absolutely like
And the way
chilling.
The way in that part where she's like just repeating endlessness, it's so beautiful and yet has so much sorrow in her voice.
This is as close as you'll get to a symphonic doom metal song.
Yeah.
This is what it is. When you look at the song, this is a doom song, but with symphonic elements in
Yeah.
it. So this is like a symphonic doom metal song. That's as close as you're gonna get to it, right? And I think Marco has the perfect voice to really push that more doom and gloom feel to it, which is very interesting because I don't know if you get this vibe from the song. This song is interesting on a bunch of different perspectives. Now let me bring out my philosopher hat.
Your Nightwish philosopher.
Yeah,
hat.
and let me philosophy. I don't think that's a word. I don't know. Let me drop some bombs. I don't know. Let me
Drop
just
some
go.
bars.
Yeah, let me just. I don't rap. So, anyways, let me just drop some of my own internal knowledge. The moment I heard this song, the first thing that captivated me is definitely that doom and gloom vibe that the song has. That's perfect for his voice. And like I said, this is like a doom symphonic track.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that captivated me. Then the second part that captivated me was that melody at the end. That mixture, like that violin there, that melody, and the way his voice is coming, like strokes of a painting. You know what I mean? Like back
Yeah.
and forth, back. Like as the melody is going back and forth, so is his voice is going back and. That part gave me chills. The first time I heard it, chills. The same thing as at the end of Shoemaker, when Flora is like all operatic at the end of
Yeah.
Shoemaker, it has the same, with a different style, with a different approach, same effect. You know what I mean? Now, the more I listen to this song, the more I realize how cool is this. This is the last track of the album. It's the longest track on the album. I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's the longest track on the album. I could be wrong, but I really feel it's definitely one of the longest tracks on the
Yeah.
album. Let's go with that. And it's the closing track of the album. It's Endlessness. It's about space. So to me, this song at the end is almost a perfect ending to the record because the record, like I said, it's not a what do you call it? It's not a concept album. It's more of it's an album that there is there is an idea, but it's not a concept album.
Yeah,
There's a theme.
There's no similar songs.
There's no similar songs. Each song has its own subject. They're all interconnected, but each song has its own subject. So it's more of a theme.
Yeah.
It's a theme album. It's not a concept album. To me, the way you close with this song, it's really the closing. It's the curtain coming down. Because you can look at this song from a perspective that space is the last frontier for mankind. So when you go down down the line of the songs and all the different elements that each song represents within history of mankind, the unknown space could be the last frontier. But so there's a sense of endlessness
Yeah.
to it because you don't know where the end of it is. Having said that, space is also what created where we are now. Like Earth started like from the whole Big Bang, and you know, like that's how everything got started was with a Big Bang. So from nothing, something was formed. So this song has almost a dual personality, and I think that dual personality is represented in how the first half of the song sounds and how the second half of the song sounds. The first half is very doom and gloom, almost like that sense of endlessness,
Yeah.
of no hope at the end or
Well,
not
the
knowing
ending
what's there.
starts to get more symphonic.
The ending starts getting more symphonic, more melodic, almost like you start to see that bright light at the end of the tunnel. And to me, that duality in the song, in my opinion, really represents what the song is all about, which is the end, but also with the end comes a new beginning. And we came from nothing with the Big Bang. We came from nothing, and we could be reaching towards the nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like as humans, we always want to go beyond where we are. You know, and space is the last frontier, if you will. And there's that emptiness, that endlessness of space. You can't see the end of it. You know. So to me, this song represents those two ends. It represents the finality of everything, the endlessness of empty space, and the end of the album. But at the same time, it represents a new beginning with everything that ends. When a life ends, a new life starts.
Yeah.
You know, nature has that way of evolving. So to me, the song kind of represents those two aspects. And it's definitely a symphonic doom metal track as far as I'm concerned.
Very doom and gloom.
But so beautiful. So beautiful. And Floor's voice really is the perfect like sprinkle of melody and texture. Just goes in there and just like...
I don't know how her voice can be so beautiful yet so dark at the same time.
She has the ability to go in, to use her voice and almost just by changing the tone and the delivery, change the mood of her portion of the song. She has that ability to change that, just with her voice, change the mood of the track. It's not an easy thing to do, to change a mood of a song just by the way you deliver the lyrics, by the way you sing, everything about her. She has an incredible voice. And I think on this record, you get a glimpse of everything. You don't get too much of one thing on this record as far as she's concerned. I don't feel like this is a record where you're gonna get too much of one style, too much of one approach. I think this is a record where you got to see a little bit of everything that she can do in pieces. Each song gives you a glimpse of she can do this, but she can also do that, and she can do this. And then to add on top of that, you have guys like Marco and Troy who can also bring their own flavor, their own style, their own approach, which allows the band to create songs within a record that are not repetitive and they don't have all the same dynamic. Each song has its own DNA, each song has its own feel, its own sound, its own approach. And you can only do that if you have a real good cast of characters that gives you different options. If everybody had if Troy and Marco, for example, had the same style of vocals, then it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't really do it. It's like having a band with two harsh vocalists that sound exactly the same. Then you can't even tell them apart. So you have to have a little bit of a yin and a yang. And in my opinion, this band is like an all-star as far as the cast is concerned. So why not create an album where you give each person a portion of songs where they can be the best that they can be, where they can shine. Exactly. And to me, that's the takeaway from this record is that it's really a showcase of each individual talent of each band member and how you can bring those individual talents together and really pluck the best out of each one of them to create songs and not just create an album that it's geared towards one or geared towards the other or that kind of stuff. They've done that before. Like honestly, like you want to evolve as a band. You want to see what you can do. And to me, this album is almost experimental to a certain degree because it allowed the band to try different things.
But it worked.
Oh, to me, like they delivered. I mean, obviously, if you went in hoping for a symphonic power metal album or whatever, then you were disappointed. You walk away. I
don't think you'd be disappointed. You'd still listen to the album and you'd still...
Oh, there's some people out there that didn't like the album, but I mean, you can't argue taste. Everybody has a different...
Yeah.
There's a different definition of what they like or what they don't like. You know what I mean? So I'm to each his own. But to me, I don't like to judge an album based on the previous albums. I like to judge the album based on the album. Like, you know, when I go eat a hamburger, I don't say, wow, this hamburger was worse than 3 hamburgers ago. I say this hamburger was either good or bad based on how that hamburger tastes. Because let's face it, like, who cares how the other one tasted? I'm here to taste this one now.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of comparisons. I like to judge the album.
I like to go into an album with a clear head.
Clear head. Forget about what they've done before. Yeah, even if it's a band that I listen to, but I always try, I make, honestly, when I do an album review, I make a real serious effort to do 2 things, or not to do 2 things. One, compare that album with previous albums and say, oh, that album they did, unless the comparison is needed because there's a transition as far as the evolution of the band, and there's a transition, and I need to go back and say, wow, you know, they took a piece of this record, and this record, and they brought those pieces together into this album. That's a different story. So I try not to compare. And the second thing I try not to do is compare that album or that sound with another band, unless it's really like in your face.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I hate doing that because each band, once again, you have to approach them on an individual basis. It's like me judging you, like if you had a sibling, me judging you based on who your family is and who your sibling is. No, I need to judge you based on your own actions, not the actions of your dad, your mom, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Each one has its own place. Let's put it that way.
I feel like the fans didn't have to watch your album review. They could have watched all these videos together.
I think some people are actually going through it with us, so I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah,
I think it's.
I think you shouldn't have done the album review. I think this is how you should have done it.
No, I still want to listen to it because this is an album to me. You really have to digest it from the first to the last song in order. Listen to it as a whole. This is an album that it's not designed to be consumed on a track by track. But I mean, we did this for me to introduce you to the band, and for us to have an opportunity to introduce you to the band. Sorry, introduce you to the album, but also for us to go through all the tracks of the album. So there was a double reason why we did it this way. But if you really want to understand, if you really want to take away what this album is all about, you really need to listen from the first to the last in order, so that you can understand the whole idea behind the sound of the album. You have to. So, anyways, guys, this is it for today. Come back tomorrow. We'll have more videos for you. See you guys.
See ya.